When people think of America, the image that often comes to mind is not the crowded city or the rural farmland, but the suburbs. Wide streets, rows of nearly identical houses, kids riding bicycles on sidewalks, parents mowing lawns, and minivans parked in driveways. For decades, this has been sold to the world as the American dream. But what if I told you that behind those neat lawns and white picket fences lies a hidden reality, one that is filled with debt, loneliness, stressful commutes, and the crushing weight of fake happiness? The suburbs, often romanticized in movies and advertisements, have a dark side that many people living there quietly endure, but rarely talk about openly. Let's begin with the history. After World War II, millions of American soldiers returned home, and there was an urgent need for housing. The government, through policies like the GI Bill, made it easier for veterans to buy homes. Developers started building massive suburban communities like Levittown in New York, which became the model for modern suburban living. These homes were marketed as affordable, safe, and family-friendly. Owning one wasn't just about having a place to live. It was about achieving status. It meant you had made it. The suburban dream became so powerful that it defined an entire generation. But what many didn't realize was that this dream came with a silent cost. A cost that continues to haunt families even today. The first and most obvious cost is debt. Houses in suburban areas are not cheap. And they're not just houses, they're symbols. Buying a home in the suburbs isn't just about shelter, it's about buying into a lifestyle. A 2-car garage, a backyard, new furniture, constant renovations to upgrade kitchens and bathrooms. People take out massive mortgages, often stretching themselves far beyond what their incomes can comfortably support. On top of that, suburban life almost demands multiple vehicles because public transportation is nearly non-existent. Every adult in the household needs a car, which means car loans, insurance, fuel, and maintenance. Add to this the consumer pressure of keeping up appearances, whether it's buying the latest lawn equipment, throwing expensive birthday parties for the kids, or installing a swimming pool because the neighbors have one. The result? Families find themselves buried under credit card debt, student loans, and mortgages. Outwardly, they look like they're thriving, but inwardly, many are living paycheck to paycheck, constantly stressed about money. But money isn't the only hidden struggle. There's also loneliness. When developers created the suburbs, they prioritized space and privacy over community. Houses are spread out, sidewalks are limited, and social interaction requires deliberate planning. Unlike urban neighborhoods, where people naturally bump into each other at cafes, parks, or public transport stops, suburban residents spend much of their time behind closed doors. Neighbors may smile and wave while taking out the trash, but deep relationships are rare. In fact, sociologists have found that suburban living can be surprisingly isolating. For stay-at-home parents, especially mothers, the isolation is even worse. Without easy access to walkable areas or social hubs, many spend their days alone, shuttling kids to and from school, or simply sitting inside their homes. Elderly people in the suburbs are also at higher risk of loneliness since they often lose their ability to drive, cutting them off from the outside world. Despite living in a house surrounded by other houses, many suburban residents describe feeling trapped and disconnected. And then comes the commute hell. This is perhaps the most visible dark side of suburban life. Millions of Americans wake up before sunrise, rush through a quick breakfast, and get into their cars to drive to work in the city. What should be a short drive often turns into an hour or more of crawling through bumper-to-bumper traffic. By the time they arrive at their offices, they're already drained. After work, the same ordeal repeats. On average, suburban commuters lose hundreds of hours every year just sitting in traffic. That's time that could have been spent with family, resting, or pursuing hobbies. Instead, it's wasted on highways, car horns, and endless lines of brake lights. Studies show that long commutes are linked to higher stress levels, obesity, poor sleep, and even a higher risk of heart disease. The irony is that many people move to the suburbs seeking peace and quality of life, but the long daily commutes rob them of both. But perhaps the most dangerous part of suburban living is the illusion of happiness. From the outside, everything looks perfect. Families hosting barbecues, kids playing in backyards, sparkling new SUVs in the driveway. Social media amplifies this image, with carefully curated photos of beautiful homes and happy families. But behind closed doors, the reality can be very different. The pressure to maintain this facade is immense. Families compete to have bigger homes, better cars, and flashier lifestyles than their neighbors. This constant comparison creates stress and dissatisfaction. Marriages suffer under financial strain. Parents feel guilty for working long hours, but still not being able to provide enough. Teenagers grow up in environments that look stable, but often feel emotionally empty. To cope, many turn to alcohol, prescription drugs, or other unhealthy habits. Addiction rates in some suburban communities are quietly rising, but it's rarely spoken about because it shatters the illusion of perfection. So, why, you may ask, do people continue to move to the suburbs despite all these struggles? The answer lies in the power of the dream itself. For decades, American culture has equated suburban homeownership with success, stability, and family values. Politicians continue to promote suburban living as the ideal. Real estate ads bombard people with images of smiling families in front of big houses. Schools in suburban areas are often better funded than urban ones, making it seem like the only responsible choice for parents. And of course, there's the perception of safety. The belief that suburbs are safer than cities, even though crime statistics don't always back this up. The combination of all these factors keeps the suburban machine running, trapping millions of families in a cycle that they find difficult to escape. At its core, suburban life can feel like a golden cage. It looks beautiful, polished, and secure from the outside. But inside, many people feel trapped by debt, overwhelmed by commutes, disconnected from genuine human interaction, and pressured to maintain a fake image of happiness. The American suburb is not the paradise it's advertised to be. It's a carefully manufactured dream, designed by developers, banks, and politicians, that too often leaves ordinary families stressed, lonely, and unfulfilled. The real question we should be asking is this: is the suburban dream truly a dream? Or has it quietly turned into a nightmare that millions are too afraid to wake up from?